Overture Solutions, a leader in secure document printing and a privileged partner in digital transformation, is proud to bring its official support to the group of SIDS Leaders Conference.
Excellencies, ministers, honoured officials from the international agencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to this second meeting of the Group of Small Island Developing States Leaders, otherwise known as SIDS. My name is Juliet Foster, and I'll be guiding you through 90 minutes of lively and what I'm sure will be thought-provoking debate on the theme of pandemics, prevention and preparedness. Now, this event builds on the success of the first SIDS leaders meeting, which took place in early May. And at that time, we explored the impact of the Cotonou Trade Agreement on small islands. Now, as the international community begins to build a future beyond COVID-19, small island developing states are demanding a voice in contributing to and indeed benefiting from the process. But it has to start with addressing the distribution of vaccines to the largely vulnerable community of some 38 sovereign small islands across the globe. Now, to put this in perspective, a recent policy brief by the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs reported that the number of COVID-19 related deaths per 100,000 people was actually higher in SIDS compared to other developing country groups and regions, and I'm including within that LDCs and LLDCs. So from the UN to the World Bank, from the EU to the various NGOs, the pandemic is seen as having not only magnified the vulnerabilities of SIDS, but has also faced them with stark choices that have the potential to cause long-term economic and social damage. A 2020 UNCTAD report found that SIDS experienced a GDP fall of 9% compared to a 3.3% decline in other developing countries. At the same time, only 6% of COVID-19 related spending for developing countries was spent on small island developing states. That's an increase of 2% from August 2020. Well, the result of this is that COVID-19 is stretching national budgets to breaking point, with SIDS having to choose between paying off external debts or preparing for another pandemic or even the next tropical storm. Well, as SIDS struggle to repair their public balance sheet, extra funds will be required to finance the immediate health response to lead the way to economic recovery once the pandemic itself is brought under control. It's fair to say that this is a truly massive task for small island developing states who rely on commodity exports, tourism, and indeed other services. So today we're going to explore whether the international community and transnational organisations recognise the enormity of the challenge and whether we're doing enough to help. And what about the vaccine programme? COVAX, the body responsible for making vaccines globally available, has approved another $775 million to fund the delivery of the COVID-19 jab to lower income countries over the next 2 years. Does it go far enough? And how much of a difference will it make realistically? Well, to debate these issues, I'm delighted to say that we have a distinguished panel of experts. They each have an allocated amount of time to give a speech outlining their position, after which they will be asked further questions. And I'd like to stress at that time that it is important for all of you to stick to the amount of time that you have been given, as there is quite a lot of ground that we have to cover in the time available. Also as well, if you could mute your microphones when you're not using them, that would also be very helpful. Now, before we hear those speeches, I would like to call to the floor the co-founder of this SIDS group, His Excellency David Doyle. He is the ambassador of St. Kitts and Nevis, and he's going to share his opening thoughts and indeed some warm words of welcome. So, Excellency, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Juliet. Excellencies, distinguished guests, welcome to this Global SIDS Leaders event devoted to pandemics and its implications for small island developing states. Now, this is the second such event which brings together leading experts from the European Commission, the UN family of organizations, multilateral and bilateral organizations, along with senior ministers from the small islands to debate critical strategic issues about the future stability of this particular community. SIDS makes up something like 38 sovereign states scattered across the globe, from the Caribbean to the Pacific, from the Atlantic Ocean to the Indian Ocean, representing some 20% of the UN membership. It was with a view to giving these particular small islands a more assertive voice at transnational level that the GSL was initiated by the governments of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Solomon Islands, Dominican Republic, and the Seychelles earlier this year to fulfill this ambition. The GSL platform enables these small islands to articulate their strategic vision at transnational level on strategic issues such as the one we're going to discuss today, a damaging pandemic and inflicting huge economic hardship on islands with limited institutional capacity to respond. In collaboration with my co-founding partner, Ambassador Jean-Paul Carteron from the Solomon Islands, we will be rolling out future GSL thematic debates in the next couple of months on social, economic and financial policy areas affecting SIDS. But let me leave you with one simple thought. Despite representing 20% of the UN membership, the remoteness of these small island developing states, their size, their limited institutional capacity, means that sometimes they struggle to get their voice heard at bilateral and multilateral fora. So ultimately, the GSL initiative seeks to inscribe SIDS' strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats at the heart of the global development agenda, and allows SIDS to become an integral part of the solutions to the big issues that we are trying to tackle globally at the moment, whether it be climate change or combating this pandemic. Allow me in conclusion to thank the sponsors of today's event, Obertoire Fiduciaire and its president, Nicolas Koutros. Enjoy the event. Thank you.
Ambassador Dolma, thank you so much for that. I want to stay with the financial theme to bring in my next guest, who is Nicolas Koutros. Now, Nicolas is the Chief Executive Officer of Obertoire Fiduciaire. Now, this company is one of the world's leading privately owned security printers, which specializes in the production of banknotes, associated secure services, and security demands. That's part of what they do. They do so much more than that. That is just a broad brush outline. But can I hand the floor to you now? Nicolas Koutros, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Judith, and thank you for the introduction. And I would like to thank Ambassador Jean-Paul Carteron for inviting us to participate in this conference, which is, of course, very, very actual. A few words about our company before I move on to the very subject of this conference. Obertoire Fiduciaire has been founded in 1842. It is a family-owned company, as you have mentioned, is a leader in banknotes, security documents, and solutions worldwide. So we are very familiar with problems, with situations, crisis situations in different countries all over the world. And we have the structure and the infrastructure to address and find solutions in case we have to face a crisis. We have, of course, manufacturing units that are accredited with the highest standards of quality and security. Anti-fraud security was, until very recently, our DNA, and it still remains our DNA. But in more than a year ago, we have realized that the technology that we are using since practically 20 years for banknotes and security documents, which is antifungal, antiviral, and antibacterial, was effective, and of course is still effective, against the families of coronaviruses. So we have taken a decision to make this technology available to other areas, to other industries than the very, very narrow industry that we are in and we were in right now. So since a year, we are examining possibilities on how to protect surfaces and how to make objects that we are touching on a daily basis more secure and avoid contamination. We're not talking about products that will disinfect for a couple of minutes a surface. We're talking about products that have a durable protection, and we have tested that in banknotes in circulation that were in circulation for 5 years, and the technology is still very efficient. So right now, objects like the one I can show you here, it's just photocopy paper. It's protected against the virus, and the table, the desk that my computer is on, has been varnished to be as well protected against the virus. At this stage, what I would like to say is remind our auditors what the Director General of the World Health Organization has said a few months ago. Governments and individuals, I'm just reading, must remember that vaccines alone will not keep us safe. Basic public health measures remain the foundation of the response. And this is where our technology comes in. And as you can imagine, we have mentioned the problems, the budgetary problems that small islands and other countries have and can have regarding the current situation. Technology can help to reduce as well the cost of handling a patient by just avoiding someone to be contaminated. So this is the way we see the future, and this is the way we are building what we call the next normality. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Nicolas Koutros. All I can say now is have a wonderful afternoon, what remains of it, and I hope to see you again very, very soon. And to all of you, please stay safe.
Oberger Solutions, leader in secure document printing and a privileged partner in digital transformation, was proud to bring its official support to the group of SIDS Leaders Conference.